Welcome to BCIS 5379. My name is Dr. Schuessler, and I wanted to take a few minutes to kind of walk us through the Blackboard shell, hopefully make things a little bit easier to find for you. So go ahead and click on into the class, and let's take a look. So this is basically what your home page will look like. There's these two videos here that will be posted hopefully here in a little bit. This first one is the Blackboard introduction. I hope to have that up the other day, but unfortunately, due to the weather, wasn't able to do that. I'll create a second video here in a little bit, which will be over the syllabus, and we'll talk about that there. So when you first come into the course, this is what you're going to see. Actually, let me switch over to student view and give you a little bit better idea. This red part up here will be done once those videos are completed. The course will be set up and ready to go. Tweets down here, I tweet things out periodically. I'm not as active as I used to be since I've taken over as department head. Most of that stuff focuses on the departmental stuff, so my personal one doesn't get used as much, but I do still try to tweet things out periodically, especially things that I think are related to class, that I think are related to education, higher education, and that I think are related to IT in general. Down here at the bottom, we've got help desk, etiquette, and computer use policies. So if you have any issues, you can get a hold of the Blackboard help desk. It's a grad class and your CIS majors. So most of you should be pretty familiar with etiquette, but just in case, feel free to take a look at that policy if you wish. And then finally, the computer use policy there at the bottom. Even though you're on your own systems for the most part, and keep in mind you're accessing university resources, so don't do anything that you wouldn't do in broad daylight. So our navigation structure is over here to the left. So if you want to get back to this page, simply click on home. The next two links are for the syllabus and the schedule, and we'll look at those in the next video. Deliverables, this is the part that students are usually the most interested in right here. So assessments are right here, and you'll see that the vast majority of assessments are already posted. I try to do this the very first day of class. I want them all to be available, so you have the opportunity to start working through them. They have due dates, so as the first one becomes due, it will be hidden, so you won't be able to see it anymore. So this list will get smaller and smaller over the course of the semester. The only one that's not showing is the post-test. So when you get down to the bottom, that one's not showing. That will show up at the very end of the semester. It's basically the same test as this pre-test. It just allows me to compare it to your pre-test score to see how far you've come. The very first test is over the syllabus right here. And so basically read through the syllabus, print it out, have it open on a second monitor, whatever it is that you need. It's not meant to trick you or anything like that. It really is just to make sure you've kind of perused the syllabus and have an idea of what's in it. And finally, something else I want to point out about the assessments, other than the pre-test, post-test, and AS0, all the quizzes are in uCertify. If you're familiar with some of my other classes, I've used TestOut before. In this class, I'm using uCertify in lieu of a textbook. So you're able to save some money there, and that cost is shifted over to uCertify. But so all the quizzes are in uCertify, and you've got a lot of resources. They give you a lot of stuff. So here's kind of a screenshot here. There's pre-assessments within that, which is separate from our pre-assessment. That's not graded. That's for your own benefit. Take it if you want. Don't take it if you don't want to. You've got the various chapters and lessons. You've got practice tests. You've got post assessments, but your actual graded stuff, the stuff that you're taking for this class, is under graded assessments. So when you click on that, it's going to show you this screen right here, and you can see the due dates and times on the right. And so that's where your AS1, AS2, AS3, etc. are all posted. And then I'll have you download your scores and submit those. If you want to see how to create a clickable link, you can watch that video there. So that is basically the process. So you can again see all the specific directions associated with, in this case, AS1, the due date, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that's crystal clear. As far as registering with uCertify, I've given you some of the information right here, the direct purchase site that you can click on right there. I'll need to set that to a new link here in a second, or to open into a new window here in just a second. And then the section key. This is something that you're going to need to be able to link it to my specific section in uCertify. So that's the code that you'll need, and if you want directions on how to do that, you can click on that, and it'll open up that video which shows you how to do that. Homework is the next one right here. Homework 0 is, again, a little bit separate from everything else. Basically, you're creating your examinee profile. We'll talk about that more when we get to the syllabus. Creating a shared Google Drive and completing an information sheet. So there's not a lot of homework in this class. That's what you've got. There is actually another homework assignment that will again become visible later on in the semester, and we'll talk about that more when we get to the actual schedule. But basically, for scheduling your final exam. The next one is the discussion board, and I make pretty extensive use of the discussion board. The first couple are really just, or first three are really just more general purpose. So introductions, you've already seen hopefully that I posted mine, and as you can tell, several of you have already posted introductions as well. If you have questions, you can certainly ask myself as well as your peers. I really do expect a lot of interaction out of everybody. So I really want you guys to answer questions. If somebody asks a general question and you're able to answer it, by all means, feel free to chime in. If it's more mechanical, it's about the course itself that you think is going to be helpful to everybody else in the class. This is a good place to ask it, and I can answer that and hopefully answer that question for everybody else's benefit. The next one probably won't get used, but it's there just in case. Ask a librarian. If you have questions that you need to ask a librarian, there is one that monitors the course, and that's what that is there for. The rest of the discussion boards, if you've had me in classes previously, this is a similar format, so you should be somewhat familiar with this. It's for the semester project, and what you see is the semester project growing over the course of the semester, and I want you to work on it with deliverables due throughout the semester, and those deliverables are posted here in the discussion board so that everybody else can see what you're doing and you can see what everybody else is doing. And it's not meant for you to copy what everybody else is doing or for other people to copy you, but rather for you to kind of collectively be able to learn from each other. So that's the goal behind it. So keep in mind, be sure and read this. This first content really has to do with the current section that we're working on within the semester project. And the last part below the lines tells you more of the mechanics of the expectations. So typically the way they work, I want the Sunday before discussion board is due, I want you to post the link to your semester project. And that's what gets posted originally. Then on or before Wednesday of the week in which the discussion board is due, I want you to have reviewed one or more of your peers' posts and give them some constructive feedback. Tell them what it is that they're doing well, what can they improve on, and that's what I really want to see. It's not telling them that they're doing great on something is great, and I want things to be positive, but you need to give them constructive feedback. The goal is to get better, and so they need constructive feedback. Then, because this is really meant to be an engaging environment, you can't just make all your posts at the beginning of the week and be done with it. I need you to come back after Wednesday, so on Thursday, but before the due date, on Sunday, come back and again leave another post. Same thing, either respond to somebody's post about yours answering their question, or again find another classmates and give them some constructive feedback. Finally, I'm a big believer in self-reflection. I think it really helps you to kind of process the things that you've learned. And so the Sunday in which the discussion board is due, I want you to post a reflective post, specifically answering these questions. So basically just copy and paste this right into your response, and then replace this text right here with your answer. So it should be simple enough. All the rest of them follow the same exact format. And we'll talk about the semester project here in just a second. So these specific discussion board topics will make more sense here in just a second. Okay, speaking of which, so here is the semester project. So basically I'm giving you some background information right here. Basically, it's a business idea, a business plan. If you've got an idea of some business that you think would be appropriate for an e-business, this is your opportunity to explore that. If you've got a family or a friend that's considered that, where you work, there's lots of places that you can look for inspiration. So be sure and take a look at that. I've tried to give you some resources at each step along the way in the discussion boards to help get you started. I've also given you some links right here to help get you started. I've also given you a template. I want this template saved in the shared Google Drive that you've created for me as part of homework 0. So when you click on that template, it's going to open that up. It's going to immediately prompt you to make a copy. I want you to, again, save that copy into that shared Google Drive folder and go from there. I want you to do all your work in that template. That way I can log in periodically throughout the semester. I can take a look at it. I want you to share it as a read only for everybody else. For me, it's going in that folder, so I should be able to edit it or at least make comments to it. And that's how I provide you feedback. So that's why I really need you to use Google Docs natively throughout the semester. So when you do it, when you actually, this particular one here is just for information. There's a couple of different places that you need to submit. So you're going to submit your actual project here. This is where it's scored. You can see the rubric on how it's going to be scored right here. So the executive summary, company overview, product services, all of these kinds of things, and you can see how you're scored. But I also need you to score or submit it right here as well. And this is the Turnitin link. So you'll submit it there as well. And I'll have to check that little issue right there and get that taken care of before the end of the semester, but you kind of get the idea. So you'll submit the same exact thing in 2 different places. Let's see, finally, exams. You're going to see the exam right here. Let me go over here real quick. There's 2 exams. You can only see this last one right now. Let me back up in just a second. There's 2 exams. There's the midterm exam. The midterm exam itself is actually in Blackboard. So that one's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. During the exam week, it will pop up here within the window, or within this screen. So you'll be able to access that and take it right here. For your final exam, it has to be proctored. So the final exam is being proctored through Examity. Most of you have probably taken this before or used this before, at least many of you have. And that's what this window here is for. So you'll be able to log in here. As part of homework 0, you're to create that Examity profile. So if you've done that, great. If not, that's basically what you do right there. Later on in the semester, there'll be a time when you need to schedule your final exam. So here's your instructions on how to do that there. And then during the final exam period, this is where you'll actually log in to take your final exam and connect with your proctor. The final exam itself is actually in uCertify. So again, you'll log in through your proctor, and then you'll access uCertify to take your final exam. The next section is communications. This is how we're going to communicate throughout the semester. As you saw yesterday, I try to send out announcements once a week just to make sure everybody's on the same page, make you aware of anything that's going on in class and things like that. Next, we have course messages. So if you have a message that is related to your grades or something that's more personal, send me a message by all means. Otherwise, send it to the general discussion board. Ask your professor and your peers because it might benefit the rest of the class. I've got a virtual office. Pardon me. So if you need to contact me and video chat, let's say, for example, we want to talk about the semester project and we want to be able to see what's going on, we can meet virtually, and that way we can look at the document together. And lastly, and I think this is the reason I put my grades under communications, is that's how we communicate, and how I communicate back with you, your performance throughout the semester. So be sure and look for feedback. I provide lots of feedback. So review the feedback on your Google Docs and things like that. So I give you lots of feedback. I give you feedback throughout the semester. If you're not finding it, let me know, because I really work very hard to try to give you feedback. The last part is supplemental materials, social media ways to connect with me if you're interested. I also like funny videos. Let's just try to keep it light. So, if you look at that, you can see some of the ones. If you find something that you think's interesting, you think's funny, that is somewhat clean and IT related, send it to me. I'll take a look, and if it's relevant, I'll add it to my collection. Blackboard helps, good place to look if you're having issues in Blackboard. Course evaluations, I do my own course evaluations. So, it's kind of the history of those. If you're interested in taking a look at those, you can kind of get some background information. This is my own assessment that I do. It's separate of the university's assessment, but I encourage you to do, I try to take feedback from wherever I can get it. So if you're willing to share it at the end of the semester, by all means, please share. I even look at the feedback that I get on Rate My Professor, so you can certainly take a look there as well. Lastly, learning style and personality. This is something that I also am interested in, students coming in. So you can kind of get an idea of historically students and their personalities coming into class. So tend to be observational, very experiential. You don't like group work. And that's pretty typical. And then as far as personality over here, you tend to be very open, not very neurotic. That's probably a good thing. Very conscientious, not so agreeable, or not as agreeable as some of the others. And you tend to be extroverts, which is interesting. So that is kind of it in a nutshell. Again, if you want to get back to the home, you just click on that, and that's all I've got for you. So that's a quick down and dirty on our Blackboard course shell. If you have any questions, shoot me a message, and thank you for watching. Thanks.